Cool. So thank you everybody so much for being here today. It means the world to me. As all of you know, my name is Keegan, and the purpose of today is really to debut this mastermind group. So the mission statement for Breakthrough Mastermind is to empower others through the leverage of knowledge to make ourselves better personally and professionally. So the whole premise of this mastermind group is going to be broken into 8 lifestyle categories. And essentially what we're doing is there will be speakers. This is a mastermind group, so participation is key. Love to hear from everybody. I have relationships with everybody here. I believe so much in everybody on this call. You guys are all incredible people. So if you have something to say, I'd love to hear from you. Larry will be our speaker for today. Larry is an incredible individual. I actually met him at the gym. He's been a recruiter. He's got a wealth of knowledge, experience. I know that he is a father. He's a husband. He's got recruitment experience of over 25 years, as well as account management and human resources. And, he's just an incredible, warm individual. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in my personal life, but he's a recruitment sourcing manager with Clark Construction Group. So on the day-to-day, he's doing a lot of interviews. I would love to hear his tips. I know he's put a lot of work into preparing a message for today. He's got about 10 really solid tips for us. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to open the floor up to him. We're going to let him speak. Afterwards, I would love to hear from everybody. So if you have any advice, and this is all on career, so if you have resume writing advice or interview tips or the power of purpose, I think that a purpose-driven career is critical. And then maybe you have some advice on job longevity, whatever that might be, I'd love to hear from you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for Larry.
Keegan, I appreciate it. And no, I did not pay him for all of those nice, warm words. But Keegan, I appreciate you letting me be your guinea pig for the first session here. But hey, good morning to everyone. It's so great to see you guys this morning. And again, my name is Larry Profit, and I'm a recruitment sourcing manager for Clark Construction Group. We're a large general contractor based out of Bethesda. Any other folks in the Richmond area? Raise your hand if you're in Richmond.
I used to live there.
Okay, got you. Where were you, Dylan?
I was in College Park working for the University of Maryland.
So you were up in the gotcha. So you were up in the Bethesda, DC area, but you didn't live in Richmond. You just lived up in Maryland.
That's correct. Yes, sorry.
Did you see any of the Clark signs around town?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I have. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the founder of Clark actually built a large building at the University of Maryland, and it's named after him and so forth. So a lot of philanthropy, a lot of work going on there, but no more promo for the company. Let's talk a little bit about some recruiting tips. Is anyone else on this call a recruiter or involved in HR? Just raise your hand. Okay, so what do you do, Dylan?
So I'm with a full service advertising and PR agency here in New Jersey, and we do a lot of recruitment advertising. So right now that's just a lot in obviously very busy. People are having trouble hiring. So logistics, healthcare, education are, 3 of the ones that we hit on a lot.
Absolutely. Well said. And Phil, well said, used to be a rich man. I got you there on the chat. Good stuff. All right. Yeah, the market's tight right now. It is very, very tough. And coming out of COVID, there are plenty of positions and plenty of companies that are hiring. And candidates right now, it's a weird time. I mean, I am used to being able to reach out and have the brand of Clark or Capital One where I used to work and just be able to hook these guys right away. It's not happening today because there's so much competition out there that if you guys are interested in interviewing for other positions, you really need to be able to get that leg up. Your resume is going to get lost in the mix. I can guarantee you if you do not do something just a little bit extra, just a little bit something special. So anyway, what I wanted to be able to talk to you guys about are some of the recruiting tips. And basically what I call it is 10 tips to shine in the eyes of a recruiter. As Keegan said, I've been recruiting for longer than I can remember. but it's definitely been well over 25 years. And I've worked for the likes of Circuit City, if you can remember those guys back in the day. Again, Capital One, a large executive search firm out of Dallas for about 16 years, and now at Clark Construction Group. So if I could tell you guys a little bit about, some of the tips that I think would get you to rise to the top and get that resume to stand out, this would be very helpful for you guys. Do your homework. So if you were ever interviewing for a job, so Phil, if you wanted to interview at Clark and you came in and didn't know the first thing about Clark, you're on your way out the door, buddy. I mean, that's basically the bottom line. You need to do your homework and understand who the company is, the history, because I can guarantee you right now that an interviewer may ask you, so what do you know about Clark? Phil, your answer may be, well, I really don't know anything. You guys build stuff, right? Okay, that's a point, but we need 10 points on that answer. So the bottom line is you really need to do your homework and be prepared for the interview and the company that you're interviewing for. Show your personality. That's my tip number 2. If you notice this morning, Phil, I started playing with you a little bit. Dylan, I've been talking with you. Don't be a bump on the log. Show your personality, because your resume can absolutely shine, but if you're dull, it's probably not going to work, unless you're maybe a programmer. If there's any programmers on the phone here, my apologies, but any programmers? No. Okay, there you go. Garrett, sort of kind of know what I'm talking about. You can be in a room by yourself, banging out the code.
Yeah,
that's
he's
fine.
being generous. He's definitely a programmer.
So then project a can-do attitude. So what that simply means is, look, at the end of the day, your cover letter, the resume is going to tell about you. You've shown your personality, but don't come into the interview and be negative and say, oh, I'm looking for another job because I hate my boss. Not going to work. That's a strike. Phil, you may have taken 2 steps forward with a good answer. You just took 3 steps back. So you need to really project that can-do attitude. And by the way, I see folks writing some things down. I'm going to send this over to Keegan so he can send it out to the group, okay? Also, have a real conversation. So don't just sit there and look at your resume and look at your cover letter and start reading off the bullet points. Me as the recruiter, I've already done that. Let's have a real conversation about you, your background, your life. A great icebreaker at the beginning, like I've already done here. Who lives in Richmond? Who's in HR? Who's in recruiting? Have a real conversation. Don't be a robot and just read off of a list. That's not going to work. Ask questions. I cannot tell you guys the number of times that I've interviewed someone and I've said, hey, Marlene, do you have any questions for me? And if Marlene said, nope, I'm good, thanks. Marlene, make up something, for goodness sakes. Don't just ask a question about salary. Don't just ask about compensation. Ask about me. Ask how I like my company. Ask what I like about the company. Again, make something up, for goodness sakes, but ask questions, because I have seen people candidates turn down when they don't ask questions, because that really doesn't show the initiative and drive that should be there. Marlene, you can go back on mute. I'm not going to pick on you anymore there.
Thank you.
Hey, Gary, did you have a question?
Also, who's that?
Are questions in the middle okay, or are we going to wait till the end?
If you don't mind just
Okay,
holding
cool.
it, just hold it for.
Okay.
And Garrett, I do whatever Coach Keeg says. If you've ever seen him lifting weights, you'll know why I said that. He's a beast. Number 6, show what you can offer the company in terms of actual work and deliverables. So what I mean by that is, you may have already noticed, hey, I want to interview for a recruiting position for Clark, and I know that the market is very competitive. Here's what I can do to help solve that problem. I am AIR certified. I am diversity recruiting certified. I can come in and attract those individuals. So once again, that kind of goes back to the beginning of this conversation about knowing the company and potentially knowing some of the challenges. Offer the company what you can do So I'm going to show them the resume, but also talk to them about, these are some of the things that I can provide that's going to really help to provide that service or that skill set. Focus on accomplishments. Anyone here in sales at all? Okay. Your sales resume needs to have quotas. It needs to have, hey, I brought in this revenue. Hey, I was able to increase revenue by this percent. Anyone in here in process improvement or operations? Okay, there you go. Colin, I need to see on there, I saved my company $1 million. So at the end of the day, let's have all of these great things you've done, but data is king. I've made this much money for the company. I've sold this. As a recruiter, I hired this many people. As a marketing individual, I was able to bring in so many new clients. Data is king, big time. All right, McKeegan, I don't think I have to worry about you on this next one, but know your social media presence. Does anyone know what I mean by that? Anybody have Facebook? Anyone have pictures of themselves on Facebook doing keg shots? Or
Yes.
okay, so let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you, Ashley, I'm going to go to your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to go to your Facebook if I can find you, and if I see you doing upside down keg stands, I mean, I'll be proud of you, but I'll be like, you're interviewing for a VP position in our company. It may not work. So, Keegan, I don't have to worry about you on that, do we?
I don't drink.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I think you guys know what I mean. Know your social media presence. And I've already talked about LinkedIn. Anyone here have a LinkedIn profile? All right. Have it reflect your resume. So what I simply mean by that, I don't mean simply just copy and paste, but my resume says I've done all of these things. My LinkedIn profile says I've done all of these things. Your picture. Coach Keeg, you've got a great picture on your LinkedIn profile. That's what I'm talking about. So once again, back to when you're partying with the frat or with the sorority, don't have those pictures. It's a professional site. Recommendations. If you don't have any recommendations on there, try to get recommendations from someone. Hey, have Coach Keeks write you a recommendation. Write one for him. Because when I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile, I look at your resume. I look at your LinkedIn profile. Does it reflect your resume and is it up to date? The picture, recommendations, make your profile complete. Because once again, if I'm looking for you, 90% of the people that I find to recruit for, I find them on LinkedIn. That's going to be your resume. If I'm really interested in you, Colin, I'm going to reach out and also ask for your resume, and then we're going to be in good shape there. And 10, last but not least, a simple thank you. I know that sounds pretty easy. Cannot tell you the number of people that I interview and speak with that say, okay, great, bye. Okay, that's fine. I don't need to be caressed. I don't need to have you bow down to me. Larry, thank you for your time, and even a follow-up email. I want to thank you for your time earlier today. It was great to be able to speak with you about the project manager opportunity at Clark Construction Group. I'm looking forward to next steps. Initiative, it shows follow-through, it shows your professionalism, and again, just simple gratitude about, thank you for your time. That goes a long, long ways. So where you may not have asked as many questions, if you followed up with that thank you, Celia, maybe that kind of balanced things out a little bit. So anyway, let's open it up for questions. Garrett, what you got? We'll start with you, buddy.
So, excuse me. In regards to the fifth tip, talking about asking questions, do you think it's a good idea to kind of like flip the script on them and not necessarily ask the inverse questions, but kind of ask them questions that they're looking for the answer from you from, but use that as a way to kind of figure out what is going on? Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. First of all, I've got the image of Step Brothers in my head. Anyone ever seen that movie? When he says, let me turn the tables and we're interviewing you.
Yeah.
So anyway, no, absolutely. A lot of times I do ask questions if I'm interviewing for a job and it's been a while. I guess, well, I joined Clark about a year ago, but I was already supporting them from a consulting perspective. But I like to kind of ask questions that kind of lead down a path that will help to highlight some of my skills. Garrett, is that sort of kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, somewhat, but also just in terms of like trying to prove that you're vetting the company, not just the company vetting you.
100%. 100%. And especially nowadays with the market being so competitive, a lot of these candidates are passive. Passive simply means I'm not looking for a job. You contacted me. So Garrett, that's going to happen more than anything. You are going to be vetting us because I reached out to you. You were in the driver's seat. So I think that that's very important. Hey, Larry, I appreciate you reaching out to me and telling me about this project manager position. What is it about Clark that you like? That's a great point.
Sure.
That's an excellent point, actually. And that should all be part of the questions. Absolutely.
Yeah. And usually if I'm doing something along those lines, and I haven't done it in a minute, but usually what I'll do is I'll ask them how they think I fit in, because if they have no idea what I'm going to be doing, how the hell am I going to know what I'm going to do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a great point. What is it about my resume that made you reach out to me?
Yeah,
that's exactly right. So,
yeah. And then I had one other question,
sure.
Just in relation to the job market right now, because from what I've seen, there's more jobs there's more people looking for jobs. It's a really weird.
It's a mix. Trust me.
It's a weird dichotomy because we have so many open positions, and we've got so many people who can potentially fill them that aren't, because unemployment is paying more than minimum wage, or it's paying more than even sometimes above minimum wage in some places. So in what way can we differentiate ourselves from that pool of candidates? But then more importantly, how can a company ensure that the people that they're like incentivize people to come to them and not just fall back because unemployment pays more?
Yeah, no, I hear you. By the way, that last statement you just made has been really impacting a lot of industries, as you guys know, restaurants, retail. Oh, it's been tough out there. Does anyone work for a company that has an employee referral program? Anyone even know what that is?
Yes, I don't think we have one.
Okay, that's it depends on the size of your company too, but that's a shame. Like at Clark, we give our folks $2,500 if they refer someone. Mm-hmm. So that's me referring Coach Keeg. Coach Keeg gets hired. I'm $2,500 in the green at that point, in the positive.
Nice.
And we've got incentives right now, by the way, that if we hire a project manager, they're throwing an extra $500. It's $3,000 for simply saying Keeg, interview with Clark.
Right.
So what I'm simply saying there, Garrett, is employee referral programs, by the way, is a really, really, really good way for your company to help kind of get that edge. Who better to know the right individuals than you guys? So I can guarantee you if, Ashley, I'm not exactly sure what you do, but at the end of the day, you probably know other people maybe like you. And you are going to refer people to your company because you believe in your company. And then you can also help prepare that candidate for interviews when they interview with the company. And again, if they make it, you've got skin in the game. You're going to make sure they do well, and you're going to get paid. Garrett, when I send the tips out, that's going to help you with your interviewing. And who was it? Was it Dylan with the advertising company?
Yeah.
So we use Baynard, which is out in, I think they're in New York City, I believe. But we're trying to turn over every single rock possible to get our message out there through the employee referrals, through advertising, social media. Once again, LinkedIn.
Keegan, you may have seen. Try texting.
I do text some too. So I've done that more recently, and I haven't done it as much in the past. But you know what? I do get responses from it. That's a great call. Great call.
Hey, Larry, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Dylan.
So I'm happy you mentioned the follow-up email. Obviously, I think that's so important. So on that email, this is what I've been told, and now I tell a lot of people, and I want to know your thoughts on it.
Sure.
On that follow-up email, attach your resume again. And I've been told that because like it kind of gets you out of a stack of electronic resumes and puts it there it's in the top of their inbox now. They're going to click on it.
Right.
You know, you're kind of giving yourself a better shot. Do you agree with that? And then also, if you do, attach as a PDF, not a Word document, right? Because I've been scolded for that.
Yeah, you shouldn't be scolded, by the way. Are you referring to the follow-up email after you've interviewed, just as the thank you?
Yeah, either after you've interviewed or after you've applied, really wherever you're at in the
Yep.
process, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then I also wanted to know, a tip I got over the years was kind of like, you said in the email, make it about them, not just about you, right? So like wishing them the best of the luck in the hiring process is like a line I've always used. Do you think that's something that works, or you kind of like, I don't
I
know?
like it. I like it,
Okay.
Dylan, and I'll tell you why. Because first of all, you're following up with that email. You're making sure that that resume is reattached because it's there again. It's fresh.
Right.
And PDF does look better than Word, but I wouldn't scold you or dock you for that.
Right.
What was that last part you were just touching on? The
the
wishing them
best of
luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that that's good because I'll tell you why. Because you're simply saying, I want what's best for the company.
Right.
And if it's me, fantastic. If it's not, I really hope things work out and I hope we can touch base again in the future.
Exactly.
To me, that's good.
Cool.
There is
Appreciate
nothing
it.
wrong with that whatsoever because you're thanking them, you're reminding them with your resume, and you're simply saying, hey, I hope things work out and I hope I'm your solution.
Cool.
I love that. That's a really, really good point, by the way.
Somebody told it to me, and I wish I can give credit to whoever it was. It's not me, but
It's an excellent point.
Thanks for making me think of it.
Absolutely. All right, man, Keegan, these guys have great questions here. Did you load them up before this or what?
Great group. Nope, they're just sharp
We're
people.
just ready to play.
Hey, Larry, I got a question for you as well.
Sure, Hayden.
So I was told that if you were to ever brag about yourself, it's during an interview, but I feel super like unhumble doing so. So what's the balance of talking yourself up and laying out your accomplishments versus an aspect of humility with an interview? What does a recruiter look for in that aspect?
First thing that comes to mind is, hey, you may have one shot with me and that's your only shot. And if you haven't presented the information that you felt like, you don't want to hang up and be like, gosh, dang it. I really wish I'd have told him that I saved my company $2 million last year. By the way, that's pretty big. If you guys ever find yourself in that situation, in the follow-up email with that resume attached, with the good wishes, may come a little blurb just as, thank you again for your time and consideration. And you may want to just say, in summary, I really feel like I could be a great addition to Clark Construction Group because I have 10 years of project management and I was able to build the Amazon headquarters up in Northern Virginia and do other multi-million-dollar projects. And I feel like that experience would translate well over to Clark Construction Group. So Hayden, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're not able to get that out, you can definitely follow up with that because that resume and that reminder are going to be right there in front of that recruiter. But I think that you got to have to read the room. You guys know what I mean by that? Mm-hmm. So if it seems like the interviewer may be for some reason keeping things kind of high level instead of getting in the weeds, maybe you read the room and keep it fairly high level. And if it feels like it's going to the next level, but I would be disappointed in myself if I didn't let you know that I saved my company $2 million. And over the course of 6 months, I was able to bring in 10 new clients to achieve $5 million worth of revenue. Who wouldn't want to say that? So you're not bragging, you're expanding on your resume if it's not already in there. And that's what an interview is all about. Okay, you don't have to say that you were the spelling bee champion in elementary school and you can outlift Coach Keeg in the weight room. You don't have to go there. But let's talk about your professional achievements and make sure that that's been put out there, because you may not get a second chance.
That's good. Yeah, the last interview I was in, the pretty much her only interview question, it was the fourth round of the interview process, and it was with the president. And her only question was, tell me your top 10 achievements in life. And I was like, oh, okay. I hadn't thought about that, but it was just like, I did this, I did that, I did this. And I had to pause. I was like, I feel like I'm bragging, or I feel, unhumble, but
She asked you the question.
there's never a time to do it. Now's the time.
No, she asked you the question, and that was it. And always be prepared for those types of questions, guys. Where do you feel like that you can see yourself in 5 years? I mean, I know they sound kind of cliche, but those questions are asked. And what have been your achievements? If there's any areas of improvement, where do you think that would be? Always be prepared for those types of questions. Role play, driving down the street. Think about how you would answer those questions. And again, be prepared. Do your homework. Good question, Aiden.
Larry,
Hey, Marlene.
good morning.
Good morning.
I want to ask a question that's going to take this in a little bit different direction.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm probably a little bit older than most of the people that are on the panel this morning. So my question would be, within my age group, men and women love the longevity and staying with, getting on with the company and staying and growing with it. They like the long haul.
Mhm.
Are there particular questions that a person should ask to their interviewer that would indicate, I'm not a jump around person. I want to be here. Is there a way to do it to where I'm not, you're not cutting your nose off to spite your face?
Hey, Marlene, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think it's a great question. In the past, I have seen resumes that I'm like, man, 6 months here, a year there, a year there, 6 months there.
Yeah.
You know what? You could have been a contractor. You could have been a consultant. So what you do at that point is, you look for your window of opportunity. Me, as the interviewer, it may be, Marlene, I noticed that, you've been in your last role for about 3 years, but prior to that, it looks like you moved a little bit. There's your opportunity. Larry, I really appreciate you bringing that up. During that time period, I was actually a consultant, and those were contract-based projects that I was on. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. Versus I got let go here, here, and here. But I think when it's all said and done, you got to find the right window and the right opportunity. And again, read the room. You guys heard me say that earlier about where that type of information can come up if you guys are going through the resume. Oh, yes. And by the way, prior to this, I was at Capital One, and that was actually a contract position. And, I really enjoyed that. I was really only supposed to be there 6 months, but they held me there for a year. And, you can kind of promote yourself at that point that you were there a whole lot longer than you thought you were going to be. But also those are good opportunities to say, as you see, I've been doing this for about 20 years at this point, and this is the opportunity that I see that I'm going to retire with. Clark has a great reputation, and I can easily see myself retiring with the company, and that's really what my goal is. That puts the longevity in my head that you're here for the good. That I'm not going to be back 6 months from now having the same interview with someone else.
Wonderful.
So, did that help you out, Marlene?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Very good points.
Thank you.
Hey, Larry, I got another one for you.
Hit me, Dylan.
So I know this isn't the first time you've been asked this, but I like hearing everybody's opinion on it. The resume being more than one page, right? So for somebody myself, like 26, I've jumped around. I have a couple of things going on. Like I haven't recreated, right now my resume is at one page, and I feel like I can't squeeze anything else in there. Now, the next time I'm in a job right now, which is great. Now, the next time I'm going to be looking for work, I'll have like my entire startup that I would want to put in there, and it's more than one page. So
I
What do
got
I
you.
do?
I got you, Dylan. The reason I started laughing or smiling when you were asking me that, because I'm asked this so many times.
Yeah.
Guys, if I get a 2 or 3 page resume from you, I couldn't care less. I mean, it would make sense to me, especially if you've done a lot of things and wonderful things. The ones that say they try to keep it to 1 page and you've been working for 15 or 20 years and you've got all these achievements, you're killing yourself.
Mhm.
Now, don't hit me with a 10-page resume. That's overkill. That 2 to 3 pages you should be able to say what you want in 2 pages. If you go to 3 pages, not a problem. But again, don't send me that essay, and do not feel like you need to hold it to 1 page, because you are absolutely selling yourself short at that point.
Okay.
100%. Now, chronological order, I'm going to have the most information about my most recent experience.
Yeah.
Next,
Correct.
next, like that. I don't want to sound disrespectful about this, but if you got a college education, I don't need to see about your secondary school and so forth and so on. That doesn't need to be on there. But anything beyond high school, certifications, training, like I said, post high school education, make sure all of that stuff is on there. And again, the oldest experience should probably have the least, and then you work your way up to your most recent experience. Elaborate the most on what you've done most recently, because that's probably what's going to pertain or really connect directly with the job you're interviewing for.
Thank you, Larry. And I guess not to
Great
hog
question.
well, thank you. Not to hog your time. Let me ask you this too,
Keep hogging.
based on relevancy, like, let's say the next job I apply for, maybe my last job wasn't very relevant to that, but the 2 jobs before it were really relevant. Do I take that most recent? I can't take it out, right?
No, that's a good question. I should have known you were going to hit me with that, Dylan.
Sorry.
First of all, you never truly just have one resume. You're going to be interviewing for a engineering position.
Yeah.
You may want to bring out a whole lot more of your engineering stuff on that resume. Gear that resume toward the type of position you're recruiting for or interviewing for, excuse me. So if your relevant experience is 3 back, I'm probably going to beef that up more and have more relevant data in there to really connect it. I'm not moving it. I'm not shortening these. I'm simply going to make sure that 3 positions back is going to be beefed up, because that's where I'm going to be going. Hey, Dylan, let me elaborate a little bit more on my experience at XYZ company. If you notice, that's number 3 on my resume there. And then that interviewer's eyes can go to that, and then you can really start talking and banging out some of those points. But make sure you elaborate more on that. Once again, you can expand during the interview on what your skills are. But let's just say you don't get that opportunity to speak to someone. Make sure the resume reflects it, and make sure your what reflects it. LinkedIn profile.
Gotcha.
Keep on hogging, Dylan. Those are great questions.
Appreciate it.
Larry, I have a question for you, kind of related similarly with the resume. So on the skills and proficiencies, portion of the resume. So, is that going to be the same for every job application? Is that going to be the same for every situation? So how long should that be? Like I've got a section there that's 15 things long. RWE programming, 3D printing, all that kind of stuff. How long should that be? What's your gauge on that?
Colin, so when you have your objective at the top, your name, your contact information, your objective, then you may have like 10 different bullet points of who you are. Right, like you said, programmer, systems analyst, printing, blah, 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 blah. Is that the one you're referring to?
No, I'm talking about at the bottom where it's like programming languages that you know.
Your skill set. So COBOL, HTML, JCL, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that should be as long as whatever you have, because what if I'm looking for Adobe and you didn't list it, but you're like, well, he knows I've got it. Well, no, I don't.
Right.
So, and plus people do keyword searches. And so if I'm doing a keyword search on LinkedIn or on your resume on Monster, and you don't list Adobe or HTML,
right,
then I may not see you.
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure those are lengthy, but to the point I was going to make at the top where you have maybe you have a bullet point of who you are. Mm-hmm. Once again, programmer, systems analyst, project manager, so forth and so on. Sometimes what you could do on that, if you're interviewing for a project manager position, you may want to kind of switch those bullet points to like shift everything over to be the first thing read. You don't want to have project manager to be number 10 at the bottom.
Yeah.
You want it to be the first thing you see, because that's who you are and that's who you're interviewing for.
Perfect.
Or what you're interviewing for.
Perfect.
Gear the resume to the position and the interview.
Okay.
I know that sounds like a little bit of work, but it's going to pay off.
Perfect.
All right. You guys are great. I didn't expect this morning. Keegan, you just been pumping the questions to this team or what?
No, they're just great people. Great people.
Awesome questions. Who just chimed in?
It's Celia. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, everyone. I have a question about extracurricular activities.
Mm-hmm.
Should we list those on our resume?
I see it all the time. I've got it on mine. I love the outdoors. I love hiking. I love playing the guitar. I love singing. I love, blah, 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 blah. It shows who you are.
Mm.
And like my CPO of my company does triathlons. I do triathlons. Next thing you know, he sees it. Oh, what triathlons have you done recently? Oh, I've done up at Lake Anna, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I did that one too. Hey guys, you're home free then. Then you're talking about triathlons. Hey, I was there. You've broken the ice. Cecilia, I wouldn't hold back. I mean, I wouldn't sit there and list 20 things. But if you love the outdoors, you love gardening, you love music, you love hiking, you love this and that, do it, because this is your professional resume and what you've done, but this is also who you are.
Thank you.
And make sure what reflects the same thing. The LinkedIn profile.
LinkedIn.
There you go. Thank you, Colin. Because that's where you can really elaborate on who you are also. But great question.
I got one more for you. All right. So I'll start by saying, I don't think I'll ever do one of these again, regardless, because I'm so against it. But the cover letter.
You mean this meeting today?
No, I mean cover letters.
Keegan, that was for you, by the way.
I have to show up to the next one. I think I'm talking on the next one. So cover letters, Larry, that I hated them always. I think everybody's always had like a similar opinion on them. Others would say it's just like your resume in paragraph form. I hope to never write another cover letter again. Do you see employers still wanting this, needing it? Can you get around it? What's your take on cover letters?
For every 25 resumes I get, I may get one cover letter, two cover letters. Because,
and are you asking, or like the employer's asking for one anymore?
No, because what happens is Colin may send me his resume, but in the email itself, a lot of times it will have a little write-up, which is in essence your cover letter. Now, if you apply to someone's ATS, which is their applicant tracking system or their CRM, there's the opportunity where you can, because you're not sending an email, you're applying. So you may want to have that cover letter and you may want to have that resume. But Dylan, again, if I see 25 resumes and only see one or two cover letters, that's fine. I mean, I don't dock you for that, because quite frankly, I go right to your resume anyway.
Are you favoring the one or two with the cover letters though? Or are you saying, well, that's some effort, let me look at that? No, okay. So it doesn't really weigh much.
Now, if you said you're never doing another one of those again, that's okay. Because hopefully the way you're going to write your resume is going to reflect who you are, and your LinkedIn profile and the tips that I'm going to send you is just going to help to elevate you and let you rise to the top. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the cover letter is not going to hurt you. It does show the extra effort, but it's not going to dock you either.
Yeah,
so,
gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh, man, good group.
Guys, do we have any more questions for Larry?
Hold on, Dylan's got one more.
I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, actually, I do. So, because I don't know anything about this, because I haven't dealt with it myself, but you see all these employers now offering these signing bonuses, right?
Yeah.
Depending on who you ask, right? They would say, run for it, grab it while it's here, because it's not going to be here next year or whatever. Others would say, be careful of that, because they might just be desperate and that's their last ploy to get anybody in. So what's your take on these signing bonuses? Is it kind of dependent on the industry?
It depends on the industry and the market at that time, because right now we're offering the same better sign-on bonuses for people to join. And
Okay.
we've already talked about it at the beginning. It is a candidates market right now. I'm telling you, especially if you're in the construction industry like I'm in. What I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, Dylan, I've got this great opportunity. Here's your salary, but also we're going to throw an extra 10 G's at you for a sign-on. Sometimes that sign-on bonus, by the way, helps to cover any type of relocation expenses.
Yeah.
Some companies don't have the relo allowance, but they'll give you the big sign-on to help with that and other things. You take it if it's given to you. I mean, it's kind of a candidate's market right now, once again, especially in the industry that I'm in. So you take advantage of that. And the fact that we would be offering it is not a red flag. It just means we really want to get you on board because we believe in you. And once again, we're offering those big employer referral bonuses, again, because we're really trying to take the right steps to, get the right people on board here. So don't look at it as a negative, look at it as definitely as a positive. And if you don't take it, just send it over to Coach Key. He'll take it.
Cool.
So good question, Dylan.
I'm done.
All right, great.
On the note of those sign-on bonuses, do you think it's wise to negotiate sign-on bonuses as well as salary, or should you stay away from negotiating sign-on bonuses?
Negotiate, Garrett, because at the end of the day, don't be greedy. They want to give you 5,
Right.
You ask for 15, and they're already giving you $10,000 over which you were making in a salary. Plus they're giving you an extra 10% bonus. Read the room in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, Garrett, if I offered you a $90,000 salary, 10% bonus, and a 5K sign-on bonus, and you didn't negotiate or even come back with something, I mean, that's okay. But I'd almost expect you to, because it kind of shows that you're thinking through this and
Right.
you're not just all of a sudden doing a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It'll kind of show your analytical and maybe negotiating skills.
Sure. And on that basis, do you think it would ever be an issue where an employer is anchoring the salary that they're offering based on a previous position's salary? Like, oh, this guy was in a 30K position a year. We're generally offering 90K, so I'm offering this guy 70K just to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I do want to preface it with, nowadays, me as a recruiter within HR, I cannot go to Keegan and say, hey, Keegan, what were you making in your last role? Keegan, what are your expectations? Because states are getting away from asking, Keegan, what do you make? Because if I said, Ashley, what do you make? I may have some resemblance of being offering her less money because she's a female and she was only making this much. I know that sounds weird, but we want to get away from all of this, that type of image that I am offering Keegan more because he was making more and he's a male, whereas Ashley, she's a female. She may not be. I'll get that out of the way. Ashley, what are your salary expectations? Keegan, what are your salary expectations? So you need to ask what the expectations are. What was the original question again, Garrett? I kind of went off.
So essentially is like, do employers predicate their initial offer of a salary based off of the average of the person's previous position?
That's a great question. So what's going to happen a lot, and what I can say happens with my company, is that hiring manager will look around the room that currently exists and says, Garrett brings 5 years of experience. This person on my team has 5 years. A lot of times he or she, the hiring managers, are going to try to set that salary offer to how it compares to the room, because you come in with 5, he or she has 5. They want to offer you $20,000 more. This person gets word of that. This person's unhappy. So what they're going to do is they're going to look at the
Well,
market.
my 5 years of experience is worth way more than that person's 5 years of experience. I'll tell you that right now.
I hear you. I hear you. So there's a lot of factors. They have to look at their existing team. They are looking at market conditions, which now are inflating salaries. That's true. And so that touches a little bit on kind of what you're asking there, and plus what your expectations are. You know, if you're asked whatever your expectations are, if it kind of plays in the right sandbox as what we are in, then you're going to probably get an offer like that. But we're also going to try to get creative, and we're going to say, hey, here's your salary offer, but we want to throw a 10%. We want to give you 3 weeks of PTO. We want to do company contribution. We've got 401k. Next thing you know, you're like, wow, this sounds great. You know, not only am I making a decent salary, but look at all the sweeteners on top. Yeah. So all those things are going to come into play too.
You know, when you said the word inflation, that got me thinking about what's happening right now with our economy, with inflation occurring. Are companies and recruiters and hiring managers accounting for that so that maybe 80K is not worth 80K at the end of the year, or as it is right now, as it was last year? Are they taking that into account when offering a salary?
Yeah, I don't think they're looking at it necessarily, Garrett, to where, hey, this is where the offer is on Jan 1, and as of December 31st, the COLA or cost of living adjustment or whatever it may be different. They're looking at it more of the market's so competitive right now that we're going to be offering a little bit higher salaries than what we may have last year during COVID because of the competition. That's the way they're looking at it more.
So could we use that argument as a negotiating tactic saying, yeah, 80K would have been great last year, but with the inflation that we're seeing, I'm going to need 95 because from what I've seen, we're going to be experiencing 1.5 or 1.2 or whatever number that you calculate is. So in order for the equivalent value, I'm going to need a bigger salary. Do you think that's a legitimate
absolutely.
tactic?
I mean, do that in a professional way, obviously. But yeah, no, because once again, Garrett, what that's doing is that's showing that you're thinking through this. And once again, it's showing your negotiation, your analytical skills. But I think it's very, very, very fair because you're absolutely right. What's the market bearing right now? That's where you need to look versus where it was a year ago. So use the economic data, the market, inflation, whatever it may be to help get you that offer that really excites you, because you're going to go back and you're going to say, I wish I would have done that. And because, hey, if you don't ask the question, you don't know the answer.
Hey, I'm gonna take it back real quick. Guys, phenomenal discussion so far. I know that we do have a hard stop at 11, so I'm just going to use the last 8 minutes to kind of recap. And I just want to share a couple of things from the conversation that has been going on so far. You know, Larry, phenomenal job. I really, really have appreciated all the insight that you've had here today. You've shown a lot of really great points. I'm excited for that email. I will get that out to everybody. He has listed all of this stuff out in detail, all those 10 steps and tips. And if you haven't already, we have the Slack group. There's the Facebook page. So I'm going to be sharing all information and recordings on those platforms if you can't make any of them moving forward. But 3 of the big things that I took away from what Larry was saying today, one is communication. You know, it doesn't matter what angle you look at it. We talk about rapport. We talk about the deliverings, the skills. Communication is critical, guys. You know, and I love all of these tips because not only from an interviewing standpoint, but a lot of people on here are also business owners. And you can take a lot of these tips when you're looking for the right candidate moving forward. So it's not just as an interviewer or interviewing, but also as a business owner. So that communication is critical all the way through. The gratitude, that was another incredible one. And I know that Hayden had touched light on humility, but I think in essence, having that grateful, that approach of, hey, thank you so much for your time. It just shows that level of genuine touch that you bring to the table. I also have a little follow-up email that I'm going to throw in the Slack group. So it's really brief, but it gets across that point that Larry was talking about. And then the third thing that's really critical is role play. he talked about having that information prior to coming onto the call, practicing those questions, being prepared, having these one-offs, all of these things that just are going to elevate you and separate you from that crowd. So I want to share a story with you as we wrap up in the last 5 minutes here. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in God or believe in your gut or believe in karma or whatever that is. But I want this story to stick with you. And whenever you pass, for whatever reason that is, you will be able to look at your life from two sections. One is the path that you could have taken, the person that you could have been. The other is the person that you actually pass as. And I want you to keep that in your mind when we talk about this career, because career is not just about paying the bills. We all have bills to pay. What is your purpose? What is your passion? How can you leverage that for a dollar figure to impact the lives of other people and change other people's lives? And that's where you become truly valuable. I think back to Tony Robbins' story about how he was speaking to Jim Rohn, and he said, Jim, my dad doesn't make a lot of money. They were lower class, and they lived right by a railroad station, and he was really upset about this. He said, Jim, why doesn't my dad make money? And he said, well, he doesn't bring enough value to the marketplace. And that's part of the reason that we're doing this whole group, is so that we can all elevate our game by asking these incredible questions, by having great speakers like Larry and some of the other people that have already signed on to speak. So, guys, I just, again, want to thank you all so much for your time. I just want to see if anybody else has any more questions in the last 3 minutes before we really close out.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ash.
Okay. Larry, I was just wondering, is it as valuable today as it once was to be bilingual?
Wow, great question. I really think it depends on the job that you're doing, to be honest with you. I was just on some construction sites in San Diego and LA last week when I was talking to Coach Keeg, and there was a whole lot of bilingual going on down there. And, it would truly be an asset. So I really think it depends, Ashley, on what job you're talking about. I mean, who wouldn't want to be bilingual? I think it's awesome to be able to speak Spanish or Italian or French or what have you. But it really depends on the job that you're talking about. If you are bilingual and you don't put it on your resume, shame on you, because there's going to be people looking for backgrounds of folks that are bilingual, and sometimes that could get them the job.
Yeah,
Actually,
okay.
I know I kind of danced around it a little bit, but I really think it depends on the job you're talking about.
No, that makes sense. Thank you. I am bilingual in Spanish, so that's good to know.
Ah, bueno. All right.
Great question.
So Coach Keeg, I've got to jump here in a sec, but.
Absolutely. So look, guys, I just wanted to say again, thank you all so much for your time. You are all loved. It shows the commitment that you have to yourself to empower yourself and make yourself better. Again, it doesn't matter if you are the one that is interviewing. It doesn't matter if you are interviewing people. These have been just some phenomenal tips and great questions, and this is only the first one. So I can't wait to see how large this group grows. Just a little, I'm just going to throw this out there, but I actually have a global platform. So come August 1st, after this big beta phase, we are going to be all over the world, and everybody's contribution helps a lot. I know we've already signed on to places like Jamaica, India, the UK, Canada, Colombia, South America. I mean, this is going everywhere. So this is the first one. I want to thank you guys so much for all your time. I will add all the details and information in that Slack and Facebook page. If you guys need anything else, just let me know. I can definitely get you guys connected. Some brilliant minds on here. So thank you all so much. You are loved, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Keegan. And I also sent you the tips, and you can send it to the group. Anybody want to reach out via LinkedIn like you did, Dylan? Hey, guys, reach out, okay?
Awesome. Thanks,
Y'all do
guys.
Thank you, Keegan.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.